Hey guys and gals, today I'm going to be making a quick video going over the 22-piece Victorinox Fibrox knife set. This thing is the largest knife set they make, so I think that it's actually going to be the most effective thing to show you all the different knives they have. And just essentially imagine that if you get a smaller knife set, you're not going to be getting a few of the more specific purpose knives that are going to be shown in this video. I'll make separate videos going over exactly what knives are included in all of those sets, just so you have a better understanding. But for right now, I'm going to go over the 22-piece knife set. A bit of a rundown to give you. This knife set has been named by Cooks Illustrated and all of these different magazines and publications as the best, and let me put the air quotes in the frame here, cheap knife set out there. And what they mean by that, and I use the air quotes, is there are obviously much cheaper knife sets out there. You can head to Ross or your local, random shopping center or whatever you want to call it, and you can probably get a 59-piece knife set that has a bunch of steak knives and everything in it for 20 bucks. The reason they say this is the best cheap knife set is because it's pretty much the best knife at the best price point if you're trying to get a real quality set of knives. This 22-piece knife set, I believe, is something a little bit under 300 bucks, which means that at the end of the day, for like, let's say, a little bit over $10 a knife, you're getting these amazing quality knives that we're about to go over. They are sharpened to 15 degrees, which is actually 1 degree smaller on each side of an angle compared to, let's say, knives like Shun's, and about 1 degree more compared to knives like Wusthoff's, their new PE Tech thing they have going on that I'll make a different video about. But essentially, they're very sharp. They use a pretty high quality grade steel. Not as good as a lot of the other high-end knives, but for most purposes, they're going to do you just fine. And for the price you'd be paying for these, it's still a great deal. So with that said, let's just jump straight into this. I'm going to unbox it right here for y'all. On the side, by the way, you can see a bunch of the knives that are included, and we're about to show you it in detail. So let's get some of the packaging out of here. First, let's get this box of knives out. Like most of the knife manufacturers, when you buy a set, they give you all the knives in this little box. And then, let's grab this hunkin' insane sized block out. So first and foremost, this is the knife block. It's a 25 slot knife block, which means that since this is a 22-piece set, which is actually 21 plus the block, you still have 4 more slots left over, or actually it's 22 plus the block, plus the honing steel, plus the scissors. But either way, you still have 4 more slots left over for all your other knives in there. So it's actually pretty high quality. It's not the best quality, but then again, for your purposes, once you actually take it out, it's great. And I think that actually a lot of the different knife companies, they sort of don't do the best job with their blocks. Everything's pretty clean cut. There's a little bit of sawdust in there which you can clean off. The logo is actually very well branded into the wood. There's no really excess glue around any of the seams. It has the non-stick feet. So yeah, it's pretty solid. Next off, let's actually get into the knives. So the first thing you're going to notice when you open this guy up is the knives come packaged essentially the exact same way they'd be if you bought them at a kitchen supply store or a place like, I'm guessing, Williams-Sonoma or what have you, if you bought them individually. First and foremost, the 8-inch chef's knife. This is the thing that made Chefs Illustrated and all those different companies fall in love with these knives off the bat. First and foremost, it has a very good handle, specifically because it has no real features to the handle. You'll notice it's featureless, and this is the Fibrox handle. Next off, you can notice that you can actually have a very nice pinch grip. It fits into the palm of your hand very well. And at the same time, there are no real gaps or anything for food to get into. It's 8 inches. It's a very nice rocking motion. I'm not doing a real rocking motion, but you can see the curve of the blade right now. And that's that guy. 8-inch chef's knife. Next, a very weird knife. You have a 5-inch chef's knife, which I guess you'd use more as a utility knife if you really want to have a nice rocking motion. But it's just sort of a weird knife. I've never really understood its purpose. I would classify it more as a utility knife, or if you're, in prison and needs to stab somebody. I'm not really sure what the point of that is. If you guys want to enlighten me, feel free. This guy is a 10 1/4 inch Granton edge slicing knife. It has these gorgeous little dimples, the Granton edge, and it's pretty long. They make 12-inch knives. They make 14-inch slicing knives with the Granton edge if you're working on, let's say, a beef roast or a brisket or something. But for most uses, this 10 1/4 inch blade is going to be just fine for you, and it's sharpened all the way down to the end, so it's a true 10 1/4 inches you're going to be using. After that, we have this weird 8 1/4 inch bread knife. I say weird because it's only 8 1/4 inches, whereas most other brands would do, let's say, a 9-inch blade. But again, for most purposes, it's pretty solid. It might be a bit too short to, let's say, cut through a really, really wide piece of, let's say, sourdough or something. You might have to go back and forth with it or hold it horizontally and cut it down long end. But for most purposes, it'll be solid. And it's very, very sharp. I just actually cut my finger on the tip of it, of one of the serrations. They included a slicing knife like I showed you, but they also included a separate carving knife. This one is actually 8 inches, and it's almost like a slicing knife if it had a kid with a chef's knife. It has a little bit of a curve to it. I would actually personally probably use the Granton edge slicing knife versus this carving knife in pretty much every situation, but if you actually prefer to use a thicker, heftier slicing knife, this would be your guy. Here is a 7-inch Granton edge Santoku knife. It has a slight belly to it, unlike a lot of the other ones. And again, it fits very, very nicely in the hand. Another one of the very useful knives they include in here is this flexible, and you're about to see, right? Very flexible, actually. Super, super flexible. Boning knife or filleting knife. It's 6 inches, and you would use this for fish or whatever, mainly for fish. That's the entire purpose of it. But it's stiff enough if you're using it to actually carve up fat or trim fat on, let's say, a steak or a roast. Here we have the 2.5-inch bird's beak paring knife. A lot of people say you can use this for paring, but really its main purpose is to actually do decorative designs and stuff because of that little curved edge. Make a little, I forgot their names, of the little tiny football-shaped hard fruits and vegetables, fibrous fruits and vegetables, so they cook evenly, like potatoes or, let's say, carrots. Or to carve little decorative flowery shapes into things like turnips or beets or whatever. I don't actually use them for paring. Then we have two different paring knives, both the same exact length, 3 1/4 inches. You'll notice Victorinox loves doing 1/4 inches with their knives for some reason. One is serrated, one is smooth, both paring knives. And like I always say, the point of a paring knife isn't to cut things on a cutting board. It's to hold it in your hand like this and to push food into it. So don't use a paring knife in any other way. It'll be weird. You have hundreds of other knives included in this set to work with. Here we go. 8 steak knives. Nothing else to really say. I've personally never understood why people buy expensive steak knives. You're going to be using them on plates, on stone plates, on ceramic plates, what have you. All you're doing is damaging them. These things are perfect for steak knives. I don't get why someone would spend $200 on 4 Shun steak knives when they're going to get demolished on a plate. Here we have a set of shears. They're actually very sharp, which is surprising to me because most kitchen shears that you get in sets are really, really crappy quality. These are also breakaway for easy cleaning. Oop, there we go. And it does have the little slot for bones, chicken bones, to break the chicken bones. One side's actually a little bit serrated too to grab onto things, one side's completely smooth. And then of course, you have the honing steel. This is the first time I actually brought it out of here, and I'm actually surprised by its heft. It's a very, very nice honing steel. It's actually extremely high quality. It even has the logo, not sure if you can see, right on the steel too. So I would actually say it's better quality than a lot of the different high-end brands. So there you have it. Just dump all these steak knives here. These are all the knives you would get with the 22-piece set. I'll put a link down below. You've probably noticed by now that if you purchase this set, you're never probably going to need another knife in the world, except for maybe a longer slicing knife if you're doing really, really big roasts or something and you want one smooth cut all the way through. But really, at a little bit under 300 bucks, I think it was something like 260, 270, 280, I don't remember exactly what it was, for all of these knives plus the block, and they're extremely high quality knives, you are going to be happy for the rest of your life. So if you're not looking to spend a lot of money on knives, if you don't want the better steel or the, you know, whatever it would be, the name recognition of Shun or Wusthof or Global or any of those guys, this is an amazing, amazing knife set, and I would highly suggest that you purchase it, or a variant of it, a smaller set if you don't want all of them or what have you. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments, let me know. But otherwise, I'll put a link down to this guy below, and I will talk to you guys next time.